Well, our next guest, very excited about this, because my wife interviewed our next guest last week and said she was one of the best people she's ever interviewed. She's one of the world's best-known authors with 32 books to her name, selling more than 90 million copies of her books worldwide.
And she's often referred to as the first female of fiction. Barbara Taylor Bradford joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Barbara,
Good
you've caused mayhem today, because I quoted a piece from the interview you did with my wife in which you said the secret to successful, lasting marriage is pick up the damn socks, ladies, for your husband. Explain yourself.
Look, I pick up anything he drops. Socks, a towel, his money. Why not pick it up if it's there? But in actuality, he doesn't. He takes the socks when he takes them off, and he does that very tidily and puts them in the basket in
But the wider point of what you were making, really, is that marriage is about a lot of sacrifice and doing things you may not necessarily want to do, but you do them because you love your other half.
I think it's rather silly not picking up the socks, frankly. It's childish. If they're there, pick them up and put them in the basket to go to the laundry. I believe that to have a long marriage, which I've had, you really have to have a lot of tolerance, understanding, and you love him, obviously, if you've been married that length of time. You've got to want to stay together, and you have to mother him a bit. He's used to having a mother.
Well, you said this interesting line to Celia. You said, you know, you've got to mother your husband without him actually knowing what you're doing.
Exactly. And now he knows. We've just told him. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
There's your lovely other half. One of the reasons that you're here, of course, Barbara, is because we're talking about a very significant marriage-to-be, that of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And it's interesting what you say about mothering and the fact that Prince Harry said about Meghan Markle that if his mum was still around, they would be best friends. What
and she sort of stroked his back
and comforted him, actually, reassured him, didn't she?
Is that what you're talking about? Is that the kind of thing you're alluding to?
Yes. In my new book, Secrets of Cavenden, I have several women like Meghan. I call them women warriors because they pull themselves up by their bootstraps and go out and do it and have a career, which she did. And she became quite a good actress and quite famous, so she can handle the press, I'm sure. And also, I like her character. From what I don't know, obviously, but what I've read, she did a lot of charity work before she even knew Harry, and he's into that. I think it's a match made in heaven.
When you watched their interview, I thought it was a remarkable interview they gave, the best royal interview I've seen, actually, because it's such a difficult thing to do. They just seemed very normal, warm, tactile, and very together, didn't they?
They did, and I remember reading something the other Sunday when we were celebrating the 70th wedding anniversary of the Queen and Philip, and he said about, or was quoted, someone quoted him, saying that it had to be tolerance and understanding and the things that I've just said, but they also fell in love. You know, the Queen, she loved him from the age of 13, and apparently the court, what I thought would really make the Queen like her was that the corgis went and sat on her feet.
There's a big debate going on about feminism, and indeed among women about feminism and among feminists about what it constitutes now to be a feminist. You were an extraordinary trailblazer. You know, at 16, you were a reporter on the Yorkshire Evening Post. At 18, you became the paper's first women's editor. 20, moved to London, became fashion editor and a columnist on Fleet Street. I mean, that was way before the time that most women would ever be doing this in Fleet Street. So I salute you as a former newspaper man myself. But what is your view of the feminism debate?
Well, I really do believe that if a woman is doing the same job as you, the same job as I'm writing novels, as if I'm doing it and other women are doing it as well as the men, they should have equal pay and they should have equal rights. But I don't like these very militant feminists, you know, who have an organisation. I never joined an organisation to liberate myself. I did that when I went to work in a reporter's room, the only girl, and I was never harassed.
You self-liberated. On the harassment thing, there's a very wide spectrum of stories that are coming out on this Me Too hashtag, from people touching a woman on the knee after a boozy lunch and perhaps making a pass and it gets rejected and so on, up to serious rape and sexual assault. As you've watched all this unfurl, what's your take on it?
Well, I don't think they're sick. I think that's just an excuse.
The sex addiction excuse, you mean?
Yes, and that you must go to a clinic to be cured. That's a lot of
nonsense.
I think it's always a powerful man who feels that he has that famous line, droit du seigneur, the right of the lord of the manor, to have any woman he wants. I told your wife when she said, would you write a book about this? I said, no, he's far too ugly to be...
Not me.
No, not you. No, you're not ugly, you're beautiful.
Thank you, Barbara. Finally. Finally getting the credit my aesthetic beauty deserves.
So I said, no, he...
You mean about Harvey Weinstein?
Harvey is far too ugly to be in one of my books. I think, actually, the thing that shocked me the most was Charlie Rose.
Yeah, the American broadcaster, yeah.
Yes, that really shocked me because I've always admired him so much. But, this isn't anything new. It's gone on since the beginning of time.
It has, and it feels like you've been writing novels since the beginning of time.
Yes, I have.
Barbara Taylor Bradford, your new book is Secrets of Cabinet. It's a terrific read, like all your books are. Very Meghan Markle-ish, you're quite right. It's about women who come from tough upbringings, perhaps, get a grip of themselves, go on to great things. Very timely. Lovely to have you on the programme.
Thank you.
We love women warriors on the sofa.
We do.
On this programme.
But I just think...
Sorry, I messed up your song.
I just want to see whether it's working. Susanna, could you...
And you know what? 75% of people who've voted in our poll say they would not pick those socks up for their man.
Susanna?
I find that extraordinary.
Isn't it? Isn't it? So there are only 25% of the women in this country who actually know how to behave in a marriage.
And 75% on my side. But Barbara Taylor Bradford, thank you very much indeed.
Lovely to see you, Barbara.